right. Once again, later this morning, President Biden will announce executive actions on gun control. They won't be wide-ranging, but the six-point plan targets ghost guns and stabilizing braces, among other initiatives. Joining us to talk about it is our military analyst, Adam Roosevelt. He's also a former Republican nominee for Virginia's House of Delegates. Adam, thanks for joining us. Obviously, President Biden's got a lot on his plate. He's got a lot to clean up. He's got a lot of initiatives he's trying to get out there, including his infrastructure plan. But there's a lot of pressure from a lot of people trying to get him to do more with reform on gun control. Even though this isn't wide-ranging, Adam, will this appease those for right now?
Well, first, I'll say thanks for having me. It's good to be with you. I don't think so. I think back in 2020 and early on, President Biden had made some big campaign promises, also focusing on manufacturer liabilities, the universal background check. So I think this immediate engagement will not satisfy the big promises because they were so big, so extreme. And now we're kind of somewhere in the middle ground. And I don't think this is going to be satisfying to the folks who care the most.
So, Adam, let's talk about ghost guns, right? Those are those homemade guns that can be assembled quickly, parts from the internet. They don't have serial numbers. It's very scary to a lot of people out there. What would the restrictions be?
It's interesting. And I would say that they're going to attempt to focus on, limiting the ability to purchase. They're going to be focused on like the supply chain elements of making sure you can't purchase it online. So your big e-commerce sites like Amazon and locations where you can purchase it online, they're going to try to restrict access. That's the only thing they can do. But let me tell you, 3D guns are also something that can be done right at home.
Wow.
When it comes to these ghost guns, I'm wondering how they're even legal, Adam, with no serial number. You can just make a gun at home. How do you trace those things? I mean, how is that even possible, to be quite honest with you?
Well, the American people are very adaptive, and they've been adaptive for a while now. You got people who make Molotov cocktails from home, with just basic materials. We would anticipate eventually people getting innovative. Technology happens, developments happen. People are engineering their own weapons all the time. This is a new conversation, but now you see we've got to focus on how we're going to limit the acquisition of those weapon types.
Let's talk about stabilizing braces that can turn guns into rifles, dangerous rifles. The supermarket shooter in Colorado allegedly used one of those to kill so many people, 10 people. That was just 2 weeks ago. So what can be done there?
I don't think that's a big priority, to be completely honest. I think a person with a weapon, especially a semi-automatic, regardless of what you put on the weapon, a shoulder stock, they can carry out mass execution regardless of what government policies you put on top of it.
Wow.
Well, Adam, here's the thing. Look, these are like things that Biden's trying to do once again for right now, executive orders. There is a reform bill that passed Congress, but it's going to have trouble getting through Senate. How are they going to be able to get that done if all the Democrats aren't even on board with the measures? I mean, Joe Manchin, once again, the holdout from making that happen.
Yeah, first I'll say it's very dangerous, number one, for the executive branch to rule with executive orders back to back to back. It was never, ever envisioned that the executive branch would have this much power, and especially when you talk about constitutional rights. There's going to be a pull or tug because there are more Americans buying weapons today. We know that. People want to protect themselves, defend themselves, and even more so in the African-American communities. So it's got to be sensible policy, I think. And if you can't get support from both sides, I think you're going to see a bit of slow activity in terms of getting this bill through.
Hey, look, Adam, let me talk to you, man. You're a military guy. I'm a former military guy. And I don't understand the reason why people have to have these AR-15s, assault rifles. I just don't get it. Now, I was in the military, and I never took my gun home. I kept it in a stockade. And I really think that the only reason you use it is for mass casualties or if you're going to war. And I don't know too many people protecting their homes thinking they're going to war anytime. So when it comes to these types of weapons, Adam, what would you like to see done? Because they're talking about a ban like they had in '94, but what would you like to see done?
I've always been a preventative measure person, and I'm always looking at from the perspective of my home, not just from the individuals who like to come in and take things that are mine that I've worked hard for, but also government, because the constitutional right gives me the ability to defend against any enemy, adversary, or threat of group of people who may want to do things toward my family and my home. And I don't put that past the government either, because history shows us that some events have occurred where government has occupied houses. This is why we had constitutional laws to protect us against these type of things. We've come a long way as a country, and we've learned from the lessons in the past, and I don't want to repeat those for sure.
But I hear what you're saying, brother. But how often does that happen? And once again, protecting your home is one thing, and the government coming in and taking over. But throughout history, how many times have we actually seen something like that happen? Isn't it causing more harm than good? And we understand protecting your home. And I'm not trying to take anybody's guns away from them, because I own a gun. My brother owns a gun. My family members own a gun. We understand. We see more and more black people are buying guns, and more people are buying guns. But when it comes to these type of assault rifles, aren't they doing more harm than good right now? Because I don't remember the last time somebody actually tried to invade somebody's home from the government or any other place and the assault rifle was necessary.
Yeah, it's interesting because I gave the same argument to Laverne as well. And my big point was that the government likes to slowly encroach on constitutional amendments over time. I gave an example of like the prison program, which was Edward Snowden's situation. Different issue, but the government had leveraged their authorities that they didn't have to effectively spy on American citizens. See, I look at the legislation overall and the slow encroachment over time, because 10, 15 years from now, when you've lost individual rights over a slow process, you then begin to wake up and say, where did it start? And that's my big anchor argument, is looking at the entire total legislation and how it slowly encroaches on the American Constitution.
All right, military analyst Adam Roosevelt. Good thing there weren't all those assault rifles January 6th. Could have been even worse. Adam Roosevelt, thank you for starting your day with us.
They got them.
Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In our next hour, we are going to Milwaukee. New documentary following Black youth trying to thrive and simply survive. We are talking with the filmmaker. This is Start Your Day.